Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans for fans, and where the content is free. It's a bonus. That's because I'm thinking about Graham Souness. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. It's a bonus episode of the Gersnet Podcast tonight. We're previewing the game tomorrow at Livingston. As I say every week, guys, it's not just the podcast we have here at Gersnet. We've got forums, we've got social media. There's articles, all that kind of stuff, a history archive on the website as well. If it's your first time listening to us, we would ask you to subscribe, leave a wee comment on our YouTube channel and put the word out there on social media. We're live tonight. It's a Tuesday night before the game. However, the pod, as usual, will be available to download or stream on a variety of platforms from tomorrow, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, Spotify, all the usual places, guys. And now I've got that disastrous intro out of the way. I can bring in my guest for tonight. It is Alec Anderson. How are you, Alec?
No bad, mate. Not bad at all. From a disastrous intro to a disastrous guest, you know. I think it was probably all this non-league stuff, all this kind of B-team chat. You're thinking about Bonesh United, maybe, you know.
Yeah, maybe. Camo Juniors.
Just bit in the brain, mate. You can't help yourself. Freudian slips. I know it's good to. It's good to have the old team back on after all the youngsters.
Literally, because it was quite a young team on Sunday night there. David took quite a lot of pleasure in going on about, the average age was under 30.
Aye, talking about their hair and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. You know what I mean? That's in memory. Although a wee bit of Barb jibe at Ross saying he only had one haircut left in him.
Oh, I know. That's what happens. They all end up turning on each other. You know, but that's no hipsters. It's just all kind of hip replacements tonight. And there's none of that aggression, they've still got testosterone and all that. I mean, that's going for us, do you know what I mean? I'm glad that's all by way.
Just laid back and just talk about the football. You know what I mean?
Do you notice that though? It's the old bangers like you and me. We know where we're heading. The guys that are behind you at Ibrox, it's the young guys that can laugh it off. It's as you get older and older, eventually you get down to becoming that guy that's just sitting there going, "Get it fucking forward."
I think it's the other way about. The young boy that sits next to me, he's horrific. I'm quite mellow now at the games, you know what I mean? He's like 30 seconds into the game, for fuck's sake, Rangers, you know what I mean? Christ almighty, mate, you know what I mean? They've just tossed a coin to see what end we're going to shoot in it, and you're kicking off already. So how you been? Nothing new? I've not seen you for a while.
No, mate, no, I must admit, I'm getting kind of D-mob happy. I was just thinking, this having the week off after the Celtic game, having the weekend off there, that really, I must admit, I'm all talk about we need to go for this, we need to get the unbeaten season done and all that, but see, after beating Celtic that game, we went a season unbeaten against them. Had a right good drink that night as well. I feel as if I just something just went. It's just the pressure's off, you know what I mean? But Don't get me wrong. Once it starts tomorrow night, we're back on worrying it again. But no, I've been just kind of mellowing yourself, mate.
I'm just looking forward to Saturday. I just want to see that trophy back at Ibrox, you know what I mean? I mean, the unbeaten thing would be nice, and then if we get it, I'll probably be delighted, but I just want that trophy, you know what I mean? It seems like the longest title win, and you know, I mean, it seems like a distant memory since we won it, you know what I mean? So, just really looking forward to Saturday, and having a few beers and celebrating, lifting that trophy. Now, I thought we'll look at tomorrow's game, but there was one thing I wanted to talk about tonight. It's the 30th anniversary of a huge game, and a game that sort of doesn't get the sort of mention it should get, in my opinion. I think Helicopter Sunday became the game that everybody talked because it was so dramatic. But 30 years ago today, Rangers played Aberdeen at Ibrox, and it was the first time in 30 odd years since the two teams that could win the title played each other. So basically, winner takes all. You know what I mean? I think Aberdeen only needed a draw on the day. We needed to win. And a huge game. Rangers were in there like the walking wounded. Graham Souness had walked out a couple of weeks before. He'd went down to Liverpool. Watersmith had come in. We looked like we were romping the season about 2 or 3 months before it, and then started to drop silly points. And I worked in retail at the time, and I had a season ticket the season before, and I had to give it up because I was working so many Saturdays, and so I didn't have a season ticket for that day, and I was off that Saturday, And my mate sort of, you going to the game? I was like, I don't have a ticket. You know what I mean? And I couldn't get off through the week to go and get a ticket. I minded the images coming out of the queue at the ticket office. I don't know if you remember it. It was just like snaking so long and away down past the corner on Cortland Road. And he's like, "Oh, come through with me." He was on the Bonnie Bridge bus at the time, which leaves for Hardy's Corner. And I got a ticket, and we were in the rear of the Broomland, and it was just an incredible day, a really nerve-wracking day, and a game that if we hadn't got a win that day, we would never have got the 9. You know what I mean? That's how close we were. That was 3 in a row that day, I think. And if we hadn't got it that day, the 9 would have went. So a really big, vital game in Rangers history, and I can't believe it's 30 years. See, when I saw it going through on Twitter the day, I was like, Jesus Christ, 30 years ago, shocking.
Well, that's what we're talking about earlier. We've got memories that are as old as the 3 guys that were on the programme on Sunday. You know what I mean? So
actually older.
Totally.
I've got a pair of trainers at the same age as Ross.
I felt I'd been through quite a lot by that point, by 91. I'd been through the kind of 9 years where we didn't win the league. Before that, up to 87. But Souness comes in and is a saviour. But I wasn't there that day. I wasn't there. As I was saying to Ross, when he forced me down memory lane, the last time I was on the pod about the 96 Cup final, I went back to full-time education. Obviously it wasn't taken, but I tried my best for a few years, and I couldn't afford to go to games kind of sporadically. But I think, and I'm not trying to kind of make up for that and sell myself as extra staunch here, I think there was a thing within me, and I'm feeling it again just now, that I wanted to make sure Rangers were okay. And I'd kind of grown up in that era where Aberdeen were winning, like they won the league 3 times when I was kind of, it's a whole fever pitch thing, your young years, your kind of teenage years, that's what you remember for the rest of your life. That kind of sets you up for the rest of your days. So I still have this feeling, we're playing Aberdeen on Saturday, obviously, and I still have this feeling about Aberdeen. I remember them being the team that they hated playing because they used to beat us regular. And to see they won the league 3 times and the Cup Cup in between us actually winning the league title. Souness comes in, gets us a league in 87, Celtic win a double in 88, like an instant response almost, and then we won at 89 quite comfortably. But even then, the last day of the season, Aberdeen came to Ibrox on trophy lifting day and beat us 3-0. I was there that day. I was in the West Enclosure that day. I was the day before the week before the cup final when Celtic beat us. Aye. I was at that one as well. I was at that one as well. I was on the lovely, all the terrible ones. I was there, I can actually remember when Aberdeen scored that first goal in the 3-0 game you're talking about. The West Enclosure started singing to the Aberdeen fans, "We don't care." We're all jumping about because we were getting the trophy and we didn't care. But we cared the following week. Oh God, aye. No, but I think that's what it is. I mean, maybe it's because I was a jinx, but I felt as if I'd seen us getting back to the top, and that let me go back to go to uni, kind of feeling as if, well, I didn't really have to. Rangers were okay, and the crowds were back. The place was full all the time, so they didn't need me, kind of thing. But I realised later it was a waste of time because you're spending every Saturday running about trying to hear the radio. It was the radio in the days, guys. It was you weren't watching every game on the telly or whatever. You didn't have Rangers TV and the like. But long story short, we went into that game. We were on 53 points, and I think Aberdeen had scored 2 more goals than us. We were both locked in 53 points, so they just needed a draw. And another thing for the youth to remember is Aberdeen. They'd won the League Cup and the Scottish Cup the season before. And this was them, basically a draw away from being champions of Scotland. And believe it or not, the following season, because they didn't finish champions of Scotland, they sacked the manager, Alec Smith, the guy who also won a Scottish Cup with St Mirren, one of the best managers Scotland's ever produced. And Aberdeen, because they were still deluded because of the way they'd been spoiled under Alec Ferguson, they get rid of him. And I think we broke Aberdeen that day, as well as actually setting ourselves up. We broke the kind of challenge from anywhere else in Scotland, really. And considering the team we had, we were dropping like flies during the game. We had a few injuries before it, and we were dropping like flies during the game. It was like a 15-stone Alan McCoy came on with 10 minutes to go. You mean he had the big long mullet and all that? I know. Gary Stevens and Nigel Spackman. I right back in a midfield, end up playing at centre half. John Brown just collapsed, and but that was the day. You'll know better. Maybe you were there, but the roof was the the club deck was getting built.
Yeah, that's right. Aye,
but it's still, even just watching the highlights,
37,000 at the game.
Aye, even just watching the highlights in the telly, there's no roof in the main stand. But as the old saying goes, if there had been to get ripped off it, the noise when Haley scores that first goal, and what a goal! The Mark Walters falling on his backside as he whips the ball across. It's totally iconic. I grew up watching Derek Johnson on a fantastic header of the ball, but there's something, that header, the way Haley arrives on that ball is just absolutely sensational. And you just the noise and the look in his, like psyched out his box, look in Haley's eyes, the noise coming through Ibrox, and there's a bit he just kind of turns around once he's finished celebrating. He's just kind of looking, he's kind of lapping up the roar for the main stand, and he's a look in his face like, what have I done here? Yeah. These are mental. What have I set off here? And that's the day he arrived,
But that's the point I was going to make. He did have a difficult first season, Haley, you know what I mean? And a lot of fans didn't accept him. And I think that was a game that just made him, because obviously he got the second goal as well. I remember Maurice Johnson. I'm sure he ended up at left back that day, Maurice Johnson. It really was just a team call together.
Anyway, aye.
And like a couple of memories, like personally, that I can remember for the day. We went through in the bus, but we came back in the train. Like we'd say to the bus, look, we're not coming home. If we win it, we're just going to stay in Glasgow, right? So me and my mate went down Paisley Road, and then all the pubs and all the rest of it. We ended up in the old Clyde Bar. Remember the Clyde Bar in Queen Street Station? It was full of Aberdeen fans, and this will amaze a lot of Rangers fans now. But the banter was brilliant to the extent that I ended up swapping jerseys with a guy, right? Jesus. And I was supposed to. I was going out with this last at the time. I was supposed to meet her at like 7:30, right? Now, this is pre-mobile phone, obviously, right? And so 7:30 comes and goes, and I'm still in the Clyde Bar. 8:30 comes and goes, and I'm still in the Clyde Bar. And then I think I got the train at like sort of back at 9 or something. I came back into Falkirk at like 9:45, and I'd said I'd get her at the train station car park, right? And she was still sitting there, fizzing, right? I'm hanging out the train window with my scarf and all the rest of it, right? Needless to say, the relationship didn't last much longer. That ended, Mark Haley ended a relationship.
He's pretty keen on waiting 3 years for you. That's no bad.
I think she was just waiting to give me a kick in, to be frank. But those are the sort of things you do when you're, what was it? I was 17, 18 at the time, But it really was. It was a great day, and one that I think there's been a couple of obviously 2003 that. We played Dunfermline and Celtic were at Kilmarnock. That was really nerve-wracking. And Helicopter Sunday was the same. These kind of last day dramas are, they pop up every now and again. And so I think that one's been sort of pushed to the side. And that one's quite unique because it was the two teams playing one another. And there's an interesting fact about the previous game that it was Hearts and Kilmarnock in the 60s. And it was Willie Waddle that was the manager of Kilmarnock at the time. And Kilmarnock won it on goal average, not goal difference. Goal average, and Hearts kicked up such a stink at losing the title in goal average. They changed it to goal difference, and then what happened in 1985? They lost the league on goal difference. What I mean? So it's some interesting stuff, and it was a great game, and I think it's still there on YouTube. So if anyone that's not aware of it, I would suggest you look at it because it's a great game. It was the making of Mark Haley. Walter Smith's first trophy, all right. He was only in the sort of hot seat for a couple of weeks, but a big moment for him as well. And
also set us up for the Champions League. If Aberdeen had won that seat, we're not guaranteed to get in the Champions League a couple of seasons later. So it was massive for the club, as you say, mate.
And it secured the 9. You know what I mean? If we lost then we would never have got the 9. So
it's only a proper 9 if somebody gives you a real challenge, isn't it? At some point, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you don't get awarded it. Via a vote, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Right, now the nostalgic stuff's out the way. I thought I would sort of grab your views on the stuff around the Colts. Alex, it's been announced that Rangers and Celtic will enter B teams into the Lowlands League for one season. Although neither side can be promoted. A lot of people. Stephen Gerrard was asked about it today. He was very positive, although accepting and understanding that not everyone is happy about it. So he was sort of saying it's a good opportunity for these young players to be developed. Although there's been a bit of a sort of stink in the east of Scotland, west of Scotland. Civil Service Strollers president, a guy called Russell Pride, he stood down the minute the vote came through. It seems to be provoking a certain amount of anger, maybe is the best way to put it. I mean, as someone that goes to watch, they used to be juniors, but now they're East of Scotland, came on juniors. I sometimes actually go and watch Bo'ness as well. I've Cumbernauld United. I go to these games, and I've done it for the last 3 or 4 years. And it does feel, now I get the argument, I've heard people saying, it's good for Rangers, it's good for Celtic, it's good for these players. But just because it's good for them doesn't mean that it's good, if you know what I mean. The price that's been sort of paid here, and it's not just the 50,000 I'm talking about. I think both clubs have got to stump up 25,000. In terms of something that Celtic always claimed they were fairly strong on, sport and integrity. The clubs that are in this pyramid system, and these two have just come in and skipped a queue. It's in the back of, it's different levels obviously, but the back of this sort of European Super League thing. It does feel a bit, I don't know, I get that it's a positive thing for Rangers and the boys that'll be involved in it, and that's a good thing, and I would never deny them that, you know what I mean. But I'd have to say I feel very uncomfortable about the whole thing and how it's been orchestrated. You know what I mean? The fact that both clubs have just paid money, skipped the queue, and then they go. I can't say I feel comfortable about that.
I think as Rangers fans, we should be particularly sensitive about this after what happened to us in 2012. When it was, okay, we're talking another step down in the pyramid system, which, by the way, we only have because Rangers were liquidated, or that company was liquidated at that point. This whole thing about there'd be no Armageddon, sell out Saturday, Rangers going to the top flight, it's not going to hurt anybody. Well, suddenly the pyramid system that had been, people have been desperate for 50 odd years, suddenly appears the following season. The Scottish Football League, second, third oldest league body in the world, just disappears off the map, as does the SPL. As a result of Rangers being demoted basically at the top flight. So you could be really churlish and say, well, the only reason there is a pyramid system is because of what Rangers went through, but that's not technically true. It's de facto the case, but we don't want to go into too much about that. But also, I feel that the way we were welcomed by teams in the lower leagues here, I'll never forget that. I feel a massive debt to those clubs, and also while we were going through hell, because it's a humiliation for Rangers to be, we're talking about unbeaten league seasons. Well, we had one in League One, and it's not something we want to talk about. It was an embarrassment for us, obviously, just to be in these competitions, but it was an absolute privilege to spend time with these clubs and see what they put into it, just at that level. And when you go down another level to the Lowland League, and then below that, obviously, it's now a feeder system. East of Scotland, West of Scotland has been invented purely for the juniors. I'm the same as yourself, mate. I go to these games, maybe not as regularly as you, but I'm a really keen supporter of the juniors, especially when Rangers are playing so many games on a Sunday and a Friday night and what have you. You want your game 3 or 2 o'clock, whatever it is, on a Saturday. I like to go to all these grounds, and there's community. They look after the community. These things are vital. There's people who go to these games who, well, I'm one of them. They don't really have anywhere else to go. Yeah. Sometimes, it means the world to them. And if the Super League thing hasn't woke everybody up to the fact that we need to look after the clubs below us, or else eventually we'll get chewed up the same as them. Then nothing's going to wake us up to it. We're going to end up in a world where Barcelona and Real Madrid play each other every week, and just have to get rid of absolutely everybody else if we don't actually look at what football can mean in terms of community. Television has taken over. I love it that I can see Rangers wherever they're playing, but we really need to look after these teams. If it was when it was first mooted this season for us going into, I think it was the bottom tier of the league, into League Two. At a time, I wanted to do it to give them the money. I wanted to do it almost as an act of, no charity, but kindness, because they showed us charity and kindness in 2012. And I wanted to go in there and help the guys out with the money. I know it was a buy-in for us, it was a bit of a bribe, but if they needed it, I wanted to give them to it. This is the same situation here. If the Lowland League wanted us, wholeheartedly, or the tiers below it wanted us wholeheartedly, then that's great if we can do them a favour, money-wise. But if there's any obviously it's been voted through, but I hate the idea that we're upsetting anybody, because they've all been through absolute trauma themselves. The juniors, they're all defecting left, right and centre because of the pyramid system that was opened up, and there's a threat to the history there. It's a fantastic. You know yourself, mate, going to see Camelin. I'm a Winton Rovers, the first season ticket, for Ayrshire, North Ayrshire. The first season ticket I ever had was for a Dustin Winton Rovers, means the world to me. And I hate the idea that we're upsetting them in any way, but I just hope there's a kind of trickle down effect. That for me, the benefit to Rangers, it's the benefit to Celtic. It's fairly self-explanatory. You can kind of stress test your young players in a properly competitive environment against men. You can inculcate them in the way the tactics and the training system of like the first team. Get a kind of Ajax thing set up, and you're getting them tested against men. So hopefully we get a situation that we've got on tomorrow night where we're struggling for a left back. You can bring a young boy in, but at least he knows he's played against men before and he knows the system. So you can do a half decent job. Eventually, you're hoping to bring these boys through. But for me, I'm the same as yourself. The big thing for me right now is, are we upsetting people in the lower leagues? And we are, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean that was the next point I was going to come to. What are the benefits? And Steven Gerrard kind of spoke about them today. And you can see it. It just feels the timing as well on the back of the pandemic, when some of these clubs will really, really be struggling and looking for money. That kind of leaves a bad sort of taste in the mouth. And I'm not criticising Rangers for wanting to go down this road. It's maybe just how it's been handled and how it's been done that, maybe a sort of longer plan was in place where they just went to the bottom and worked their way all the way through the pyramid system. And also, I've maybe missed something when I've been reading through it, but I don't understand why it's for one season only. Why? And neither team can be promoted. So you're like, well, is this just a test of the water thing? Is it, one season? But I don't see the point in that.
And they're talking about how I constantly hear people talking about, well, look at Spain, where you've got Castilla and the Real Madrid B team, and Barcelona have got the B team, and they've got their B stadium and all that kind of thing. Number one, we're talking about two biggest teams in the world, two biggest clubs in the world. They're absolutely mega. So it's a kind of natural thing to happen there. And also, I don't know, the attitude is just different, but I find it cheapens the product. And I mean the product of, in this case, the Lowland League. Yeah. To have two teams in that aren't going to go anywhere, especially if they actually win the league. Do we then have a situation where Rangers, Colts are champions of the Lowland League and are crowned champions and get the trophy, but the team finishing, say Celtic finish second, the team finishing third,
gets promoted.
They get promoted, but they don't really get the glory that they're due. And I know it's all very well saying that, well, it's only a couple of games, or like maybe 4 games a season that you're playing these Colt teams, but that's massively cheapening the whole product. There's a kind of, you need to know there's an integrity about the competition you're watching. I have enough problems with the top and bottom split we have in the Premiership. I think that's a nonsense. We end up with the team finishing 7th. Yeah. You get more points than the team finishing 6th half the time. Yeah. I don't really see the point of it. It's a kind of fake excitement, and this isn't even excitement for the other fans. And Colin, yourself, going to the juniors, half the punters going to the juniors, certainly Ayrshire, North Ayrshire, and I've been to see St Roch's, I've been to see St Anthony's, but the vast majority of them are Rangers supporters anyway. Yeah. It's like if they wanted to go and watch Rangers, they'd go and watch Rangers. They want to go to junior football, maybe only afford to go to junior football. A lot of them will like seeing young Rangers players, whatever, but they're not going to see big Rangers players, and I feel it's a bit of a slap in the face for them. And I think the thing about only being for one season, it just seems like a way of getting us in there. It just seems like I can't see it being just a one-off. I think
it seems strange. I mean, one of the benefits they're talking about is it gives the guys a competitive environment. But does it, as you say, if there's nothing to play for, if you win the league, you're actually not winning it. You're not getting the reward out of that, getting promoted. Then I don't know. I'm sure there's a good idea in there somewhere, but it feels like it needs to be bottomed out a wee bit. But one thing I will say, the pies and all that are far better at these grounds. So, and I will make an effort. Once Rangers Colts start playing in us, I'll probably make the effort to pop along to a couple of their games. But I'm not completely comfortable with how it's been handled and how it's looking at the moment. Anyway, before we move on to tomorrow's game, Alex, I'll highlight our partnership with Rangers Picks. So if you fancy winning the opportunity to win a share of £1,000 and play Rangers Picks, the official Rangers Pick'em game, which is available to play for every Rangers match. It's totally it's totally free to play, and all you have to do is visit www.rangerspicks.com and complete a series of questions about Sunday's game to give yourself a chance of winning a share of £1,000. The more fans that play, the more money the club receives. You must be over 18 to play. T's and C's apply, and please, as always, play responsibly. Another shambles, Alex. There we go.
we just want that trophy lifted. That's what we're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking about.
This is a wind down,
Now until tomorrow night. Now, speaking of like Super Leagues and fans getting ripped off and all the rest of it, we've spoken about this before. And I think this is the worst one yet. Livy TV wanting £20 for the game tomorrow night. Now, given that the league's done, I know Rangers still have this, unbeaten thing to play for. I mean, Livingston, because of the top 6 split, they've got nothing to play for. It's looked like they're going to finish 6th as it is. £20, it just strikes me as outrageous, Alex. It's just all through this process, the pandemic and having to watch the games at home on TV. It just feels like you're being fleeced at every corner sometimes.
Aye, this is. There's also a worrying trend where the more you pay, the worse the result gets. Was it a tenner for St Mirren? We won 2-0. Or £12 was it?
£12, I think. Aye.
And as you've said yourself, mate, it was a nice wee production. It was very professionally done.
I did Gordon Smith and all that on it, and then I did an interview with Tony Fitzpatrick. St Johnston's been the worst so far. I mean, it's just basically, it feels like it's a guy standing there with an iPhone. You know what I mean? And the commentary kicks in like 20 minutes after the game starts, and that's really bad. That's £17.
That £17. The last time there was a bit that come up on the screen saying was it away fans video. Yeah. Or home fans video. Were we getting a different commentary or something, or was it just a?
I don't think so.
It felt to me.
I think we were just paying more. I think that's what it comes down to.
So that was it. We only got a draw that time. So now it's up to £20. The unbeaten record's gone more than anyway. 20 quid to watch. What is for Livingston anyway? I feel like it's not a meaningless game. It's never a meaningless game. But basically it was a car park surface. We've scored 1 goal in our last 2 games there. It's never a pretty game. As you say, Livingston, they didn't make their cup final. They've been they've been a bit of a downslide since they lost that semi-final. They made the final. They lost the final to St Johnstone. I just feel as if it's an absolute slap in the kisser. Quite happy to pay a tenner. You could also, there are various people, various bad people out there, Frankie, who might slip you a wee stream or something to get it for free. But I like to, I'm always worried about these streams a bit dodgy. I've used them once or twice, but I feel as if somebody's going to get in there and steal all my debt from my online banking. So
it's not that. It's just the viruses. Anytime I go into these things, I just get this warning. 300 viruses. And I'm like, all right, come out of that. But as you say, Frankie's a bit of an expert at this. He seems to know how to work this, but I don't. I'm a total technophobe. So I 9 times out of 10, I end up paying for it. Through the official sort of way of doing it. So I'll be £20 tomorrow night, and it's. It's a bit of kick in the teeth.
See, I think maybe anything between £10 and £15, okay. That's no problem. And Livingston, although we don't like the way maybe Livingston play football at times, we don't like their pitch and all that. I don't find them a particularly offensive club, so I don't mind giving them money. For this. I went there last season, the League Cup. My pal got us a ticket. There was a £25, so I paid that. So I'm thinking, right, put £20 to even be there just seems. I know. It's kicking us out right at the last moment of the season.
Yeah, I know. And Rangers on the they're not totally guilt free in this as well, because I saw the other day they're charging $7.99 to see the Player of the Year. You know what I mean? Which seems a bit expensive. I've got a wee update here. Rangers picks pools is 2,500 for tomorrow night and Saturday. Must be because it's the end of the season. So
if you win that, you can maybe
got everything wrong tonight.
No, but if you win that, you can maybe afford to watch us against Livingston and the Player of the Year award.
Good point. It just feels a bit expensive, and I'm just sick of having a feeling of a football fan that I'm forever getting ripped off and having the piss ripped at me a wee bit. As you said earlier on, Alex, Livy, they had that really good run earlier on in the season, but since that cup final, they've kind of sort of, I think it's 4 defeats in the last 6, 1 win, and one of those defeats was a 6-0 game against Celtic. Seems like a good time to play them, and the last time we played there was probably the night when we knew that we'd won the league. That late goal from Morelos. It's probably one of my favourite moments of the season because there was a wee group of supporters on the corner on the hill, so you actually heard the crowd cheering when the ball went in the net. And the way the goal came about, Davis should have scored, I thought, but he's hit the shot. The minute the keeper makes the saves and you see the trajectory of the ball, you know Morelos is going to score. And I think that was, just one of the top moments this season. And given that they're struggling at the moment, hopefully we'll get another one tomorrow.
Aye, and we went there first time this season. It was one of the rare lows, the 0-0. Are this team ever going to learn? Are they ever going to learn how to break teams down? And if we struggle at this, we just Gerrard's he's coaching the shaky peg, and we won the league by the start of March. So that was February that night. You're right. When we were talking earlier on about Steve Davis, and there he is, he's getting his nomination for Player of the Year because of the campaign you launched, Colin, to get him in there.
Absolutely.
You were spot on. But that's what we're talking about. Why he was so good. I think it was on the occasion of his record-breaking cap for Northern Ireland, and that was the game I went to straight away. Was the game at Livingston. We just saw how he just plugged away, all night, and then it was just a slow increment of pressure, and he wouldn't stop, and eventually we got that. Maybe he should have scored, but I think it just made it even more kind of,
even more dramatic.
Let's just say it was sexual. It was just slowly building up, mate. It was just getting closer and closer, and then it was just, is it in? That's not in quite yet. It's in now. So it was absolutely fantastic, mate.
Cheering me, Alex, coming away with phrases like it was sexual and is it in? Oh, it's in now. In the same sentence.
Like I say, mate, when it's either that or I'm at the back of the main stand shouting, "Get it up there!" There's a reason for these things, What I mean?
But I agree, it was a great moment. It really was. I mean,
it's fantastic.
There's 2 or 3 moments this season. The game against Motherwell in December, when I think it was when Eaton scored to put us 2-1 up. That was a moment. And that moment against Livy, I mean, our living room, me and the boy were just bonkers, you know what I mean? Because I thought you knew then that we'd won it. In terms of team selection, it's much like it was 30 years ago, Alex. We're dropping like flies at the moment. So Stevie G and his presser today confirmed that Borna Barisic is still out. Our field is still out. Obviously, all the other guys, ones that are out for the rest of the season, Jack, Balogun, Hollander, we'll not see them for the rest of the season. So, I mean, it looks like, left back could be a bit of an issue tomorrow. I don't know, maybe go with Aribo there. I'm not quite sure. It looks like we're going to ask the same 3 boys in the middle of the park to do a job again. The longer the seasons went on, it does feel like it's taken its toll. You know what I mean? And I was talking about this today to one of our fellow podders, and it feels in that midfield 3 especially that we've just asked a lot of the guys, because it seems to be that area where the majority of the injuries have been throughout the season.
Yeah, it's I'm just, if there's one place you don't want to go when you've already got too many injuries, it's the surface at the Tony Macaroni. So I am, even if we get through tomorrow night, you're fearing what's going to happen. What's going to happen for Saturday? And obviously, as you say, for me, it means everything. I would be totally gutted to get so close to an unbeaten record, to go on an unbeaten league season, to get this close. You can't now say it doesn't mean anything. It means the world to me. To be perfectly honest, it would be absolutely magic. So I would do want us to to come through this, and I dread what would happen if we lost. If we lost Kamara or Davis, particularly tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I think you get Joe Aribo into left back and let everything else kind of fall into place. It just ask these guys to do the same. You got Morelos and you got Kent up front. Big Roof. Things can happen. Things will happen. I think if Livingston it's like 7 of the last 10 they've lost.
Yeah.
Get out there. Sorry, this is the old man speak. Get out there and get into them straight away. But do that. Just get the pressure on them. If we get an early goal, hopefully they'll just start feeling it's been a longer, harder season for them. Especially as a team only getting in and out of it. My worry is Rangers coming to town is always a kind of cup final. It's a plastic cup final for a team who've lost their cup final this season. And Davy Martindale's in there, being nominated manager of the year as well. He's maybe wanting a wee kind of day, a wee kind of moment.
Yeah,
a statement result.
Finish off his season.
The statement result was one that we got for us was like when we beat Celtic 4-1 that day. It was absolutely phenomenal. But then we only named 7 in the bench. Yeah. And we were, Barisic goes off at the end of that game. I feel as if I think we're actually in a groove, and I think as horrific as it was, going out the Scottish Cup is taking that wee bit of extra kind of pressure off us. I don't know what would have happened if we'd been playing on Sunday there. Don't get me wrong, I wanted us to be. It was heartbreaking, particularly the way it happened. Absolutely gutting. But I feel as if Steven Gerrard he's dropped 2 points every month since Christmas. So that's that Christmas slump again. That's that post-January slump again. Every calendar month he's dropped exactly 2 points.
2 points.
And I would take a point tomorrow night, an extra 2 points dropped, if we could keep the 100% home league record on Saturday as a way to lift the title. And I feel as if we just go out there and just put the focus on attack. And Joe Aribo, Borna Barisic should be spending most of his time piling up that wing, getting into Livingston box anyway. And Joe Aribo will be doing the same. So I just hope we can put it together, and I think we've got it. I think we've got the attitude. I think we've got the legs. I think we've got that wee tiny last bit of momentum to do this tomorrow night and on Saturday.
Hopefully, I'm a wee bit worried with the pitch tomorrow, especially with Roof. If he starts Roof, he's had previous in these pitches. He always seems to pull up on them, and I hate using the pitch as an excuse, and I don't buy into that, but I'm fearful, going into the last 2 games with so many injuries at this particular moment in time. As you say, we can't really afford any more. Yeah. It's the worst possible surface to play on, when you're trying to avoid injuries, you know what I mean? So hopefully we'll be fine. We'll find out. Final sort of topic before we wrap things up, Alec, as you mentioned there, football writers are announcing tomorrow Manager of the Year. Now, as you said, Martindale's had a good year, although it's tailed off a wee bit. I would say he's in the sort of short list, but no really a contender to sort of win it outright. I would say it's between Callum Davidson and Steven Gerrard. My money's on Gerrard because 1, I do think he deserves it, and 2, the vote was done before St Johnstone were in the Scottish Cup final. But I mean, for Steven Gerrard to win it, I mean, I know the big things that the league, to win the league, that was a big. That was his aim when he walked through the door. And so to do that, and to do it so stylishly, to do it in a way that we're 23 points clear. The league was won practically in the first week of March. An incredible achievement. So the achievement is already there. He's done what he set out to achieve. But to win this sort of, a solo sort of award like this, I mean, that would be another, when you consider where we were this time last year, I know Celtic were awarded it, through the vote and all the rest of it, but it did feel like the season was sort of collapsing again. And I looked at Gerrard after that game at Hearts in the Scottish Cup when they put us out the Scottish Cup, and for the first time I thought, I think he might chuck this here. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think he's looked at his players and thought, well, I've given them everything I can give them here, and they're still not performing. And to turn it around like that, the way he's done it this season, again, to perform so well in Europe and to tie up the league, to secure 55, and to look like he's going to do it, without suffering any defeat, and looking like he could do it with a 100% home record. An incredible achievement, and to win the Manager of the Year, it would feel fitting, I think.
Yes, it would be another wee trinket, if not a trophy. It's one of these things where, what I've been talking about this all season. We're gutted at going out the cups and how Steven Gerrard hasn't won a domestic cup. But we got past that moment this season. When it actually helped us. I think going to the League Cup probably helped us to win the league the way we did. And I think if you put that together with an unbeaten league run, if we could manage that, that's for a team that hasn't won the league for 10 years, a club that hasn't won the league for 10 years and has been where we've been, that is beyond a normal achievement. That's overachievement, and that's the kind of parameter by which Callum Davison is going to win it. If he does, it's because of the overachievement. He started really slowly at St Johnstone. That's kind of, to me, that's almost playing into why he's going to win it, because everybody thought he was going to get sacked, a lot, and now suddenly he's a roaring success. But I think he's picked up on a lot of the work that Tommy Wright did. I don't mean this in any way against Callum Davison, because he's a cracking bloke, and St Johnstone are a good, honest club. Absolutely nothing against them, except the fact that they put us out, obviously. But that wasn't their fault. I think if we're looking at it in terms of, Callum Davison's massively overachieved. I think you can actually say that for Steven Gerrard as well, because you have to factor Europe in as well. To do it in Europe, to win our group, and a group where we're playing Benfica. I think for a Scottish team to win their group any time in any UEFA competition is actually a massive achievement. Yeah. To do it for the position we've been in is phenomenal, and it's not just the fact of winning the league. I get why you would think automatically winning the league should automatically is the best achievement in Scottish football. So the manager should automatically manage the year. I know it doesn't work like that, because resources and all that have all got to be weighed in. They've all got to be taken into consideration when you're judging this. But for Steven Gerrard to have played the football, it has to make us play that kind of football the way we've actually played football this season. I mean, who would you rather watch, us or St Johnstone? That might seem facetious and a bit cheap for a big team fan, but I think we've been absolutely marvellous to watch. And the level of consistency, the hardest thing to do in any sport is no get beat ever. And that's what we've been doing in the league this season. We just don't lose. I don't want to jinx it for tomorrow night, but we just don't, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And to do it in an entertaining fashion as well, I think Stevie G has got to win it.
I mean, I had an interesting exchange with someone on Twitter. I'm assuming they were a Celtic fan. They weren't blatantly stating that in their account, but it sort of came away with the line, well, Callum Davison should be manager of the year because he's won 2 cups and Steven Gerrard's only won 1. Right? I was like, well, how does that work? And he's like, well, he's won the Scottish Cup, he's won the League Cup. That means they're the best team in Scotland right now. So my reply to that was, I say, so in 2002, I think it was, when Martin O'Neill won the league and Alex McLeish won the cup in the League Cup, Rangers were the better team. End of conversation. Yeah. Never came back to that one. It's just nonsense. And I'm not trying to be down on Callum Davison here, because you're right, they have overachieved. If they won that cup in a couple of weeks, it's a tremendous achievement for a club like St Johnstone. It's a tremendous achievement for Callum Davison. Well, I just think the standard that Rangers have been operating at this year, and from where they were last season, I think he deserves it.
The league title was the only thing. The league title was what it's all about. I made the mistake of tuning into Premier Sport because I've subscribed, so I might as well use it every now and then. But I made the mistake of tuning in to see the score on Sunday, thinking I could rise above and it wouldn't be bothering me. But it does. I was still gutted to see it wasn't us. It was in the semi-final. But before I could turn back over, there was Michael Stewart saying, if St Johnstone going to win this, they're the second most successful team in Scotland in the last 10 years. They're already the second most successful team because they've won a League Cup and they won the 2014 Scottish Cup. And you're like, the league title counts for more. And we're going to have to listen to this. If Hibs win the Scottish Cup, we've won 2 Scottish. And it's amazing. Because it's amazing for you, doesn't mean objectively that the Scottish Cup suddenly means more than the league title. You know what I mean? That's just not an argument.
But we know why the likes of Michael Stewart are going down that road, Alex. You know what I mean?
To wind up fat old men like me, it works.
Anyway, I think looking at the time there, Alex, I think that's us for tonight. So a big thanks to Alex for his contributions. Great stuff as always. We'll have a preview show on Friday night for the Aberdeen game. Hopefully we'll be getting into that with a 100% record, unbeaten record, and looking to lift the trophy obviously on Saturday. So we might have a couple of beers on Friday night show, you never know. Join us on Sunday also, because John and Stuart and who else is on? Stuart Weir and John and Ross is hosting on Sunday night. In the meantime, get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Until the next time, stay safe and bye for now.